Number 0, Ron Hawthorne. Number 4, Dakota Hogwood. Number 15, Scott Hogwood. Number 12, Mike Jackson. Number 9, Casey Kraus. Number 24, Cesar Lascano. I hope I got close. Number 17, John Margus. Number 15, Gina Natoli. Number 3, Frank O'Neill. Number 8, Justin Rhines. Number 7, Tyler Rodriguez. Number 11, Nick Silver. Number 23, Lexi Hogwood. Number 22, Sean Walker. And then we have spotter Camry Hogwood. Catcher Colin Kraus. Pitcher and coach Pat Kraus. Volunteer Francis Kraus. Catcher and spotter Zach Moore. Spotter Cindy Ledbetter. Coach Jeff Rhines. Catcher and spotter Mike Ricardo. And catcher and pitcher Matthew Galante. Philly Fire. And then now we have our Gateway Archers. Number 34, Jason Frazier is our coach. Number 4, head coach is Orlando Gonzalez. Number 32 is our pitcher, Mike Curtis. Number 5, Chad Dillon. Number 7, David Smith. Number 21, Ethan Johnston. Number 6, Justin Holland. Number 94, Kyle Bora. Number 10, Liam McCoy. Number 88, Ricky Castaneda. Number 13, Mark Morris. Number 16, Nathan Lawson. Number 28, Richie Pressel. Number 9, Stephen Patton. Number 3, Zion Prince. Number 25, Henry Allen. Number 2, Demetrius Mora. Number 23, Lil McChesney. Our catcher is Hermos Caceres. Our spotter is Shay Morris. And then we have volunteers Dee Gaspa, Aaron Frazier, Andrea Guerra, Cole Bedke, Amy Hannigan, and Rodney Cotton. All right, this is your Gateway Archers. We do not have one person to sing the national anthem this morning, so we're all going to sing it together. All right? So here we go. Cardinals player Benji Molina.
What's up, man? Oh, yeah? Yep. She's gonna chill out, dude. Hey, game. You operating base?
Yep.
All right.
I believe in success. I don't believe in luck. So.
Back, Richie.
Okay, yeah, son. All right.
Here we go.
Close call. Good morning and welcome to Championship Saturday at the 2024 NBBA World Series of Beep Baseball, presented by Mind's Eye Radio and the St. Louis Lighthouse and sanctioned by the National Beep Baseball Association. We are live at Slyman Brothers Slicer Complex in St. Charles, Missouri. At the beginning of the week, 20 teams had visions of a world championship. We are now down to just 2. The Gateway Archers come in with 1 loss. The Philly Fire come in undefeated. So it's really simple. A win by the Philly Fire in the first game, and they are champions. A win by the Gateway Archers, and we will play a second game for all the marbles. David Benny here alongside Rosina Foster, as we have been all week, although we have now moved over to Field 14, the championship field. They've been holding this field out so that it is fresh and ready to go as these 2 teams prepare to square off. Neither team has been in a championship game at the World Series before. Both teams are hungry for their first ever world title. And in fact, if you're the Philly Fire, you could really make history because the East Coast has never had an NBBA champion in the 47-year history of the league. Rosina, this is looks like an enormous crowd out here again today. They're getting revved up on both sidelines as you hear Philly off to our left. It's a beautiful morning, nice breeze, it's not too warm, and boy, after the couple of barn burners we saw yesterday, who knows what we're going to see today.
So we have all of our umps all right out in front of home plate. Each one is holding up a letter to make the sign thanks. And then the very last sign is Delta Gamma Foundation. Benji Molina, who just threw out a pitch, is also going to jump in the picture with them. So he will have his picture with all the umps for a wonderful photo op as our teams get jazzed up and ready. This championship game is brought to you by IFB Solutions, New View, Oklahoma, the Ed Fitzpatrick team at Cross Country Mortgage, accessibilityofficer.com, Bosma Enterprises, and S&J's Catering. We will hear more about them later in the game. Still have not had the coin toss, so I'm not sure who is going to be home. Just finishing up a few more photo ops here with Benji.
Benji Molina, now the Spanish play-by-play for the St. Louis Cardinals. Of course, he was a catcher for a long time in the Major League Baseball, most notably with the Angels of Anaheim. I believe that's what they were called back then when he won his ring, his World Series back in 2002. Those who've been around a while will remember the Angels beat the San Francisco Giants. Benji Molina was a starter on that Angels team, and he came out through the first pitch for us. One of many dignitaries that we have had here at a star-studded World Series.
Absolutely. We now have all our scorekeepers are going to line up for their official photo from this game. And the umpires are going over the rules. Every position out on the field today is going to be one of our certified umpires.
The Gateway Archers got here in the double elimination bracket with wins over the BCS Outlaws, then the New Jersey Titans, and then a tight one-run win over the Indy Edge. Then they dropped that game yesterday, the undefeated game, to these Philly Fire. That was a game that the Archers led 9-5 going to the bottom of the fifth, and the Fire ignited their offense and scored a dozen to turn that game around and for a 17-10 win. Then the Archers had the game yesterday against the Indy Thunder that'll go down as one of the great games in beat baseball history, a 21-20 come-from-behind win. The Archers scored 6 runs in the bottom of the sixth to win it. Mark Morris started and ended the rally in the bottom of the sixth, ended it with a 21-20 walk-off win on his pop-up to left field and sprint into history.
So the sky is clear right now. It's a nice crisp and cool morning. We are developing quite a crowd around as people are still heading in for the game while everyone else sits and listens at home. We have the Philly wearing their red and black jerseys and getting riled up on our left with a huddle. Archers are wearing their white jerseys that has the pink and blue arch with the arrow underneath it on our right. And we do have the captains now heading in to home plate for that coin toss. And it looks like Benji Molina might be participating, might be tossing the coin as well.
Archers, can I get your coaches and captains?
Our home plate umpire for today's game is our head umpire of the NBBA, Jason Price. To my left here at the scorer's table, we've got Jamie Simpson operating bases. She's the assistant tournament director to Cassie Hopkins this year. Next to her, we've got our scorekeepers, Sylvia Redmond and Glenda Cole.
Again, thank you out there to all the volunteers who do help make this possible. It is built up all week to this, and all that hard work of running is now down to the Philly Fire and the Archers, culminating at right now.
And you mentioned that neither one of these teams has been to a championship game at the World Series before. The last time we had a championship game involving two teams who had never been there before was 2016. That was the Indy Thunder and the Boston Renegades. The Indy Thunder won that game that day and their first World Championship. And that's also the closest an East Coast team has been to winning a championship, was when the Boston Renegades placed second. So hard to believe, but no team east of Indianapolis that we can find in the annals of beat baseball has ever won a championship. Philly can do it with one win today, although the Gateway Archers, riding the momentum of that victory over the Thunder yesterday, they want to play 2 today, and they think that they can win 2.
So we did hear a lot of cheering over here on the Fire on our left. I did not get to see the coin toss, but I'm going to assume from the way that they were hollering and yelling that they did indeed win the coin toss.
And that is important. I am convinced in that Thunder Gateway game yesterday that whatever team had the last at-bats was going to win that game. And the Archers happened to have the last at-bats, and they cashed it in for the 21-20 victory over the Thunder to knock the Thunder out in 3rd place.
So we have Jason Price standing at home plate as we have a bunch of music playing as well over there for the Fire. And it looks like a much more subdued and quiet Archers bench on our right. They are all sitting, just drinking a little bit of water, quietly talking among themselves, just prepping for this game. Quite a bit of a difference there between the jumping up and the riled up attitude of the Philly Fire.
And they're calling them to huddle up. So we have scheduled for a 9:30 game time, so we still have a few minutes here. Do we have starting lineups, Rosina?
I have not seen them yet, but apparently
All right. Well, we'll
they
see.
are in. Let me try to see if I can get a hold of those.
And while we grab some starting lineups, we mentioned at the open, the Delta Gamma Foundation gave us a generous grant for the National Beat Baseball Association. They've done that for us several years in a row now. We appreciate them. We appreciate Jersey Mike's Sandwiches and Subs. They were here earlier this week, and they have given a generous donation as well to the National Beat Baseball Association. Again, Mind's Eye Radio and the St. Louis Lighthouse, they brought a lot of volunteers out this week. Jason Frazier, the CEO of Mind's Eye, he's been running around all week helping to put on this tournament. We've had Eric Warnhoff from the Lighthouse. He's been around all week long. Just really great, the support and the partnerships that we have had to put on this 2024 World Series of Beat Baseball, which will be remembered for years to come, both for the competition on the field and the camaraderie off the field.
So I do have some of the starting lineup here for the Archers as they head up. We have Mark Morris, Justin Holland, David Smith, and then we have Rich Crussell, and then we have in a revolving switch there, Nathan and Ethan. And then last up, Ricky Castaneda.
So similar to the lineup the Archers have been using all tournament long, except for Nathan Lawson. We'll see how they use that in the fifth spot in the lineup.
So we do have them huddling up before they head out onto the field. And let's hear from IFB Solutions. Are you seeking a job or looking to build your ideal workforce? IFB Solutions is here to help. For job seekers who are blind or visually impaired and interested in work-at-home customer service roles, explore career opportunities with IFB Solutions and experience the empowering impact of employment. For employers who need reliable call center workforce, IFB Solutions connects you with skilled visually impaired professionals who deliver top performance and low turnover to enhance your customer service team. Job seekers, please email at careers@ifbsolutions.org or call Brent Burkholder, the HR Project and Recruitment Manager, at 336-245-5611. Employers, you may contact Shannon Satterfield, the Director of Professional Services, at 336-618-0115 or ssatterfield@ifbsolutions.org to partner with IFB Solutions today.
If you happen to be at the park listening or watching our stream and you still want to pick up your 2025 NBBA calendar, Missy Lykowski is down here at the scorer's table. They still have calendars available. They are $15 a piece. Some of the proceeds go back to the NBBA. They're great calendars. They have photos courtesy of our social media specialist, John Lykowski Jr. and Lykowski Studios. Photos for each month featuring our elite players, so you can pick up your calendar if you haven't already and you're in the area or at the park by seeing Missy Lykowski.
So, and the lineup that will be up for the Philly Fire is going to be similar to what we've seen with Justin Rhines, Tyler Rodriguez, John Margist, Scott Hogwood, and then in a switch off, Nick and Sean Walker, and then rounding it out, AC Krause.
So Nick Silver will be the designated hitter and Sean Walker will be the designated fielder. That's also the same lineup Philly ran out yesterday. No surprise there. The Fire and Archers have faced each other twice this season. Of course, yesterday in the undefeated game where the Fire won 17-10. They played each other in the championship game of the Indy Beat Ball Bonanza back on June 2nd. The Archers won that day convincingly. So you never know what to expect here. If the Archers get off to a good start, the Archers could very easily force a second game. But the Philly Fire, no pun intended, they've been running hot at this World Series. 7 games they have not lost.
So I have heard from our head umpire, Jason Price, that we will be starting at 9:25, which is 3 minutes to go, as he meets with spotters and players and a coach just off of home plate. Looks like it's going to be a little bit more sloped on this field than 12. It's almost completely flat, but looks like there's just a very, very mild slope to this field. It'll be interesting to see how that affects ball rolling, if at all.
You know, talking to Mark Morris, the hero of yesterday's victory for the Archers to get to this game, he's got a really level head about it. He said, you know, I enjoyed it last night, but now we've got unfinished business. We need to win 2 games today. So that was great, but you put it behind you and get back to action. You know, some people wait a whole lifetime to get a moment, to have their moment, and he had his moment yesterday and made the most of it with that walk-off against an Indy Thunder team that did not strike out at all in 38 at-bats.
So the Archers are now lining up along the first baseline for their blindfold check. Going to be getting started here very quickly. Jeff Ryan's back over there talking with his team.
The Philly Fire came into this tournament as the 4 seed, and the Archers came in as the 2 seed. And they had to dispatch a couple of the Indy teams, and in fact, interesting to note, Rosina, that this is the first time in 9 years that we're going to play an NBBA championship game without an Indy team in it. We will have a brand new champion today. The Thunder had won 5 in a row, and then Edge won a couple, and now we'll see who's going to be it in 2024. You know, it really feels kind of like a changing of the guard.
Definitely, we're going to have a new champion either way. So we were just going to roll through this and see who the new champions will be.
We are going to have NBBA umpires all over this field. As we mentioned, Jason Price is going to be the home plate umpire, but there will be umpires at both bases and in the field, likely on either side of the field. And Rosina can tell us more about that once they all get out there.
I'm still waiting for those. I know, looks like we have John Lykowski over by third. But we have a group of umpires on both sides of the field, so just probably going to be evenly distributing them out throughout the backfield.
This is what these teams have worked for literally since the early spring. February or March, had their first tournament in March in Las Vegas. And the Archers played in Oklahoma, the Philly Fire did not. Both teams were, of course, in Indianapolis, and they met for the championship there. Both teams were in the Bolingbrook tournament. The Archers have played in Springfield, Illinois, in a doubleheader against the Comets, and a 3-teamer up in Champaign, Illinois. The Philly Fire played in Beast of the East. They won that. That's the East Coast tournament, so both teams have played plenty of ball, all culminating now today. This is what it's all about for all the marbles.
Philly Fire is now lined up on the third base side to have their blindfold checks, and our umpires are starting to stretch themselves out across the far outfield. So far it looks like we've got at least 4 across the backfield. Scott, looks like Philly Fire are now making their way out to the field.
Huge crowd here. I don't know that I have seen a bigger crowd, at least local crowd, for a championship game in a very long time. And this is the first time that there has been a hometown team at the World Series competing for a championship. You'd have to go all the way back to 2009 in Stockton, California, when the West Coast Dogs won it there in Northern California, to find a World Series where there's been a hometown team that has been competing for a title. So it makes sense that there will be a huge crowd out, especially on the Archer sideline.
So we will have off that Mark Morris heading up the Archers batting as he stands just off of home plate. Mike Curtis heads out to the pitcher's mound. He's going to be walking up to home plate here. Just going to tap that over with a couple taps with his shoe as the Philly Fire are sounding off out in the field. Mark is now at home plate.
All the area is silent while gameplay is actually going on. You're welcome to cheer after a play has been made, but other than that, let's keep it quiet so all of our players can hear and play their best.
A few words from Cassie Hopkins there about the importance of keeping it quiet till after the play is made. And we're just about ready to see our first pitch of the championship game. Got third, then first.
And they're asking, we got to have a ball.
Yeah. Well, it was like
Game
this,
on.
and I wanted so
First
goes
base is
that
hit.
way.
I'll give him bases again.
Do 'em again.
And here comes the
Wait, but
first
Jason,
ball out.
Can I turn it like this? Is it gonna be okay?
As long as you have it wherever you want.
Yeah,
You want to put
I want it like this.
You're good.
All right, Jason Price throws in a game ball to Mike Curtis.
Mike Morris still waiting patiently. Have our base check, and we're gonna get this started.
Jason says play ball, and play ball we will.
And it's going to be just over the top. You could hear that Mike knew that was going to be off as soon as he released the ball. Mark tapping home plate. And it's going to be a short little pop-up coming foul just about to where he was standing.
Now they're on schedule. They've got contact. The key again for both of these pitchers is going to be hitting the top of the bat and getting the ball in the air. Because both of them have great defenders.
Bat up at the ready. And it's going to be a pop-up short left right in front of Tyler as he runs for third. Tyler on top of that. And that's going to be a run. Tyler only had one hand on it. Didn't get it pulled up out of the grass. The first run up on the board for Mark Morris and the Archers.
Anybody else, and Tyler probably gets that put out. But Mark, one of the fastest in the game. 1-0. Good start for Gateway.
Trying to adjust home plate there a little bit as Justin Holland steps up with his very well-known red, white, and blue camouflage arm sleeves.
That's sort of become a trademark of Justin Holland.
He's had that for years.
All the way back to his Atlanta days, huh?
Yes. Got that base check and quick pull down on his hat. And just over top of the swing.
So from speed and finesse with Mark Morris to power with Holland.
Just rolling off the top of that bat into the catcher's mitt. And just underneath the bat. And it's going to be a high pop-up as it drops short mid as he runs to first. Casey Krause trying to grab that. It's going to be another run. There was a little flubble there with Casey Krause and Tyler Rodriguez, and that's going to give the run to Justin.
Well, they both had to come over. They're both elite short players. That was just a well-placed pop-up there by Holland. So 2 air balls. Start the game 2-0 Gateway.
It's going to be David Smith up for the Archers with his hat on backwards.
How about the game David Smith had against the Thunder? How about especially defense out at mid-right? I think he had 4 putouts and none of them were easy. You think he doesn't want a championship? He's got 4 second-place finishes.
And it's going to be just underneath the bat. The Archers on the bench all anticipating. We have a time for the plane coming overhead. The archers to our right, most of them are leaning just outside of their tent on knees, standing, all anticipating their very high energies flowing. That plane is now getting a little closer.
Well, the Archers were really controlling that game yesterday against the Fire, and then all of a sudden in the 5th inning, the Fire just exploded for 12 runs and turned the game around, and that's why they're in the driver's seat today. If they win this one, they're champions. If the Archers win, we will play what the if necessary game, if you will, 30 minutes after this game.
They're untimed out in the fields. Tyler hops up and down.
Can I hear the bases for me? Thank you. Play!
And it's going to be a pop fly into center midway as he runs for third behind Scott Hogwood. Johnny Ma trying to get it, but he's going to be safe again. 1, 2, 3 for the Archers.
Air balls, all 3 of them, and that one now was to the mid-level, in the middle of the defense, and that was in the air forever. Took about 2 bounces, and David Smith was at the base. 3-0 Gateway. They are locked on target right now.
And Rich Crussell coming up as David Smith makes his way right in front of Mike Curtis there, heading over to his bench. Mike adjusting one of the wires on his mask.
Bases, please. Thank you.
Crussell's been a little bit up and down this series. I was wondering if they were going to put him in or maybe Kyle Bora in the lineup, but here he is.
It's going to be a short pop-up into center as he runs to first. Tyler coming up to grab that, and that's going to be an out for Tyler Rodriguez.
There we go.
Stopping that run of 3 in a row.
Crussell not quite as fast as, say, Mark Morris, and Tyler Rodriguez had time there.
This is going to be Nathan Lawson up to bat for the Archers.
The rookie. So Ethan Johnston, it sounds like, is going to be the DF, at least to start this game. How about a
Sean
rookie?
Walker is out there in the field.
Well,
not
for
Ethan, so.
for the Philly Fire, but for the Archers, I think you're going to have Ethan Johnston as the DF for Lawson once they go out into the field.
And just on the inside of that bat.
How about being a rookie and getting a start in the championship game?
It's going to be another strike. Kind of tips his head back with a sigh.
Nathan Lawson is an Illinois boy, like yours truly. Works for the School for the Blind in Jacksonville, Illinois.
He's taking a pass.
That's actually the Illinois School for the Visually Impaired.
Gonna have a time for another airplane.
He is a coach. He works in their athletic program and other things there up there at the Illinois School for the Visually Impaired. I spent a few years there as a boy. Lawson, a lot of power, and he's fast.
Casey rocking slightly his shoulders as he waits out in short right.
Philly Fire have Tyler Rodriguez in short left, Casey Krause in short right. Then in the mid-level, you've got John Margist and Scott Hogwood. And then deep, you got Justin Rhines on the left and Sean Walker.
And it's going to tip right off.
Sean Walker, their right fielder, designated fielder for the Fire, also a rookie.
Just catching the edge as it runs along the baseline on the right, and that is going to be foul as Casey Krause was right on top of that. Ball's going to come back as he walks it back up to home plate. Mike getting control of the ball again. Is right on that line, finally rolling foul. Mike now back up ready. Nathan nodding his head to Mike. Quick pull of the bat up over the shoulder. And I think Mike knew that was off as he tossed it. You could hear him go, ooh, right after he released that. And that's going to be an out for Nathan, bringing Ricky Castaneda to the plate.
So 2 outs after 3 straight runs. And here's our 2-out specialist, if you will, Ricky Castaneda.
He's always seemed to be in this position.
Faces, please. Thank you. Thank you. Play.
Just like David Smith, you know, Ricky wants a championship too. 4 second-place finishes.
And he's going to catch the edge of it as it pops up foul on the right.
I like that flavor meat.
Looks like that nickname of the Little Meat might have still stuck for Ricky. Gonna fix home plate. Mike telling Ricky, remember to keep his head up.
1 strike. Play.
And drop. Just to hear him just narrowly missing that. Just over the top of the bat.
Those two were clean swing and misses. Curtis needs to get his groove back here a little bit. Nope.
And that's going to be out as the Fire are already halfway in for their at-bat. It's going to be a 3-0 game as we head to the bottom of the first and the Phillies' first chance at bat.
Well, that kind of petered out really quick for the Archers. They got 3 on the board right away, and they were all good hits. And then the next thing you know, a short one and then 2 strikeouts, and now the Fire will come up to bat with their potent lineup in a 3-0 game.
Archers preparing to head out after their quick huddle, and Pat out the pitcher's mound with a couple quick tosses to Colin as he waits for his lineup to make their way to the plate and the field to finish setting up. Yeah, there was 3 quick runs, and then after that out, it was almost like that totally broke the stride, and that's exactly what the Fire wanted.
Pat Krause, the pitcher for the Philly Fire, in only his 4th season. But you never know it watching him pitch. He seems like he's been doing it forever.
Both pitchers wearing face masks. We saw what can happen if you don't to Jared Woodard.
Boy, that was in 2022 in a game in the Indianapolis tournament, and Adam Rodenbeck lined a ball right back at Jared and broke his jaw, cracked it. Anyway, and Jared was out for about 6 weeks of that season.
Mark Morris short on left, getting his team started with a sound off.
There is no requirement that that the pitcher wear face protection. Most of them now do, not all of them.
They're not all of them. I've seen several that do not, but it does seem to be a higher trend of them.
I think Fonzie's one of them that doesn't.
We have Justin Rhines up at the plate. A quick shrug of his shoulders and tipping his head back side to side. Pat holding the ball for the outfield. And it's going to be a line drive out into right midway as he runs for third. David Smith coming up on it. He just kind of let it go by, so there might be a dead ball call. I'm going to wait, and before I count that run, everyone's standing over it, so we have our umps indeed heading over.
So they will turn on third base because that was the base that was on when the ball was hit.
Oh, they're
That
going to
ball's
count
beeping.
it. It is a run. That's now a 3-1 game. Archers, Philly up at bat in the bottom of the first. Tyler Rodriguez up at plate. Pat saying that it was off and then it turned back on as they arrived.
You never mind getting a little bit of luck, do you? And
Well, I'm
that's
sure
lucky.
the Fire does not mind the luck at all. The Archers might have wished that the luck went a different way. Pat asking for a can of paint so he can mark his position. Getting a new ball in. Saying he's going to mark his spot so he does not go over that 10 foot.
Tyler
Marking.
Rodriguez is the Fire player with plenty of championship game experience. He's played on 5 championship Saturdays in his career. Never lost.
Couple tosses with that new practice ball. He also had that double play earlier this week,
which was spectacular. One of 3 double plays we've had at this World Series. The other 2 were by the same player, Randy George of the New Jersey Titans. It's going to be interesting to see who the defensive MVP is there at that short left position, whether it's Randy George. Stanley Griffin of Cleveland has had a remarkable week himself. Mark Morris, with all the putouts he got yesterday, he got to be in the conversation.
I think that someone told me, I think that Stanley was running around 50 or 60 for this week.
Wouldn't surprise me if you play 8 games. I thought it would take about 7 putouts per game on these fields to be the top defensive player. Stanley's really been cleaning up, and the Scrappers
Gonna get that base check for Tyler.
I won't say overachieved, but they came in as the 13 seed and ended up finishing 8th.
And he's the line drive out into centers. He runs to first. It's right past David Smith. Rich Krusell running to back him up, but he is going to be safe at the base, bringing that up to a 3-2 game. And John Margis coming up to the plate.
So just like the Archers did in the top of the first 2 up in the lineup for the Fire score. 1-run game, and Margis may be their hottest player. He had 4 or 5 runs yesterday against the Archers. He was really the only one doing damage for the Fire until their big 5th inning. At one point, he had 3 of their 5 runs. Now you got the power in this Fire lineup. Now you got the sluggers with Margis and Hogwood.
As Tyler came back up to home plate, there was a chest bump there with Casey. Oh, field is now set. And it's going to roll right off the top of the bat, coming foul by our cameraman.
He was right on that, fouled it straight back. Timing's perfect.
1 strike. Play.
Now Ethan Johnson calling time for this plane coming in.
And while we have a moment, we'll remind you that at the conclusion of today's game, we will select our Hannigan Team Realty Player of the Game.
Scott Hogwood is patiently waiting on deck while John waits just barely off of home plate. Plane is getting a little bit louder. It looks like we have a decent haze of clouds up in the sky this morning, helping to keep things cool for the players and all the volunteers on the field. For those of you who have listened with us all week, thank you for tuning in. And this is what it has all come down to.
Play.
And it's going to be a line drive out into center as he runs for first. Rich Crussell dropping in front of it. Justin Holland back to back him up. Another run for the Fire as they tie this up to a 3-3 game.
The mid and back level of the Archers defense is going to have to make some plays today. This is not a game where it can be all Mark Morris, and they're staying away from him so far. So there you go, nobody out. 3 in a row on the board for the Fire, and we're back to even Steven.
Scott Hogwood up at the plate, and this is very similar to the types of hits that Philly was getting yesterday. Basically coming down to there wasn't really much the defense could do when it was placed in the back. First and third.
Hogwood started out slow yesterday, but then he blasted a couple late.
He's got his bat pointed right up at Pat as Pat gives him instructions.
This is a big, strong dude right here.
And just dropping down at the plate.
We talk about all the time how this is a family affair.
You can hear Dakota out there cheering him on.
Scott Hogwood has 3 daughters on this Fire team. 2 of them are spotters, and then Dakota, who's a player and one of the better female players. I'd say one of the top 3 or 4 female players we've got right now in the league. There are Ryans on this team. Jeff Ryans is the coach. Justin's the left fielder. Krause's. In fact, when Casey comes up, you'll have an all-Krause pitcher, catcher, and batter with Pat Krause and Colin Krause and Casey Krause.
Jason looking up the sky towards the plane as he talks with Scott Hogwood at ease. Pat's got his mask pulled up on the top of his head as he waits. Now he's going to pull that back down over his face. Bringing that bat back up over the shoulder. He's going to relax a little bit as he steps away from home plate and reset. They're going to call. He said he knew they were going to call time as he heard a play, and about 2 seconds later, you could hear time out in the field.
What a pleasant morning for a championship game.
It is absolutely gorgeous out here. Perfect breeze. It's not too hard to interfere, but enough to just help cool you off a hair.
It's not as humid out here as it was earlier in the week either. Well, almost a touch of fall in the air here a little bit.
Almost. Just a reminder that if this is a tie game, 3-3 at the bottom of the third, Scott Hogwood waiting for his at-bat as Nick Silver keeps his shoulders limber, rotating a bat in the batter's box.
So 3-3, it's going to take some runs to win this game for sure. As we play in the bottom of the first, and the Archers are still looking for their first out here. Although they scored their first 3 in the top of the first, and then Philly locked it down after that. Well, they got some help from a couple of strikeouts.
Pat joking with Scott that there was a dog barking in Florida if he wanted to hold. And it's going to be just over the top of the bat. Field asking what the count was. An exhale from Pat. And just over the top again.
Pat Krause always in control of himself and his batter out there. The Honorable Pat Krause. He's a judge when he's not pitching beat ball.
And he slams it a line drive into center as he runs for first. It's just past Rich Krauser. Dustin trying to scramble to help. That's going to be another run up on the board for the Fire. Just like that. They're putting it deep out there. Not a chance for the Archers to get there in time.
Not sure what exactly happened there, Rosina. I thought that Krusell was going to cut that off and make that play.
It kind of dropped right behind him. And Justin was coming over to try to back him up.
Well, Justin had to come a long way, though. Fire are really on a roll here to start this game. And they haven't given Mark Morris or Ricky Castaneda anything really to field yet. Now Nick Silver, he is the one non-local player really on this Philly Fire team. He's actually a native of St. Louis, playing in front of his home crowd in his hometown against the Archers. How much do you think he wants to beat them and win a championship? Silver has played in a championship game before, back in 2014 with the RHI Extreme. They were blown out by Austin.
Just over the top of the bat. We have a time out there for another playing.
Nick Silver got his start with a St. Louis team called the Firing Squad. They're now defunct. Then went and played several years with the RHI Indy Extreme. That team's now defunct as well. Then went and played a couple years with the Indy Edge. Was not on their championship teams. This was before that. Went and played a year or two with the Chicago Comets. Then back to the Edge, and now over to the Philly Fire. And he seems like he's sort of found a home with Philly.
Got some purple socks on that have rainbow-maned unicorns on them.
Nick has gotten his act together at the plate here at the World Series. He was really struggling for a little while this season. In fact, he had 4 strikeouts in one game in the Beast of the East, and it was looking like he was going to lose his spot in the starting lineup. But then he started out on fire on Tuesday. He was like 8 for 10. And
just catching the edge of that as it drops down to home plate.
And he's been a big part of their run here at the World Series.
Just underneath the bat.
Es okay, no se preocupen.
Bat back up at the ready. He took a pass.
Good eye, good eye.
So they've gone as far as they can go in this at-bat.
And he nails it out into left as he runs for first. Rich Krusell laid down. Mark Morris scrambling to get it. Slams his hands into the ground. It had fumbled out of Rich Krusell's hands. Mark Morris down on the ground, tried to grab it and dropped it. And when they called safe, slamming his head. There's frustration there of wanting that out. That's going to be another run up for the Fire as they take a 2-run lead. Have a defense out in the field for
Gateway.
Archer.
5 straight to start the bottom of the first for the Fire. And the Archers, I think, are doing this as much to circle their own wagons, but also to try to slow down this offense for the Fire, which is red hot.
They're definitely pounding it out there into the outfield, giving them the time to get that head start to the bases. The crowds are getting hotter and hotter behind their tents. Pat telling them that his bench, they need to settle it down, and Archers are now going to spread back out across the field.
You always knew the Philly Fire with this roster was capable of this. They've had some issues with inconsistent play at times, injury, unavailability, and things of that nature. They finished 4th at last year's World Series, but they had a 1-run loss to the eventual champion Indy Edge in a game that was cut short by time constraints because of all the heat we had in Oklahoma. And then they lost a slugfest to the Indy Thunder. So they really, other than those games, they won everything last year. Those were close losses. So, you know, because this Fire team,
Speaking
they're on
of
the
those
brink.
injuries, this is Casey Krause.
And he's bounced back. He scored 3 runs in that 5th inning, that 12-run 5th for the Fire yesterday,
Took a pass.
as he always does. Father-son combination, and then another one of them's catching.
And it's going to be a pop-up short and to right as he runs for first. Ricky Castaneda rushing over them. Ricky Castaneda for the out and the Archers.
Boy, they needed that.
March is coming on.
Way to be on that ball by Castaneda. Krause is fast, and that ball had had a little bit of airtime to it. Good play by the former San Antonio Jet. 1 out.
Órale, Ricky.
Justin Rhines back up as they start over the batting order. As Casey Krause comes back a little bit more subdued to the bench, kind of rotating that shoulder a little bit.
He's super competitive. He doesn't like being put out by Ricky C. Now back to the top, and Justin Rhines. He's 1 for 1.
We have a
Rhines was one of those players who was hurt earlier this year. We didn't really see him until late June.
And almost taking off Pat's head as it goes down the center, hitting David in the leg as he runs for first. They're scrambling for the ball, and that's going to be a run for Justin Rhines, doubling their lead. It is now a 6-3 game, Fire leading.
That was ripped up the middle, and Smith got there, but he couldn't make the play.
It was so hard that one, even though he landed and behind it to slow it down, it just popped up over his legs. Justin still making his way back up to his bench.
Boy, every one of these hits have been legit, though, all 7 of them.
Like he's holding his thigh just a little bit. Might have pulled something there as Tyler shoots his gun at the bases. And a quick exhale. We have a time out in the field. I said now they're good. Exhale from Tyler. And just over the top of the bat.
Vámonos, güey.
Tyler was the MVP of the Beast of the East. He's been playing at a high level all season long.
And almost taking Pat's head off again as it goes to center to right, past all of them as he runs to third, and he is there. Ethan Johnston still headed out to go grab that ball, but that's going to be another run for the Fire, and they are getting warmed up.
They just ripping the ball right now, and a lot of these are center or center right. Somebody other than Castaneda is going to have to make a play.
It's John Marr just up at the plate.
Hey, don't help him, Scott.
Sounds like we have a warbly ball there.
Yeah, they're
Calling
going to
for
get
a no.
another one. In a championship game, you'd rather be safe than sorry. Both ways, really. I mean, you don't want a ball dying on the defense, but you also, if you're the Fire and you hear a ball that's a little bit shaky, you don't want to crush one and then have it go dead and have to come back up and do it again. So they'll get a fresh ball in the game.
Pat holding this ball up for the outfield. And pulling that mask back down as John steps away from home plate for a few tosses. And another. We get at least one more in there. Okay, it looks like he's ready. John's going to step back up to home, resting his bat on home plate.
Bases, please. Thank you.
That base check.
Play.
Feeling the back of home plate. Swinging that bat up over the shoulder.
Set. Ready. Pitch.
Just over the top of the bat.
Archers could use an out in the worst way here. 7 already in, 1 out. And we're still in the first.
Set. Ready. Pitch. Strike.
Just over the top of the outside of the bat.
Margist, I first saw him with a team called the Southwest Slammers out of Tucson, Arizona, believe it or not. Played a year with the Colorado Storm.
Set. Ready. Pitch.
And it's going to be a pop fly deep into center as he runs for third. It's past them all again. Tackling third. Another run up for the Fire. It just doesn't stop.
Boy, they're just crushing the ball. This is impressive. This is strikingly similar to their 12-run inning yesterday that put Gateway away. It's a long game, but this is as good a start as you could hope for if you're a Philly Fire fan. 8 on the board. 8 of their first 9 have scored, and all but 1 ball has been to the middle or back level of the defense. Quite impressive what Pat Krause and the Fire are doing early in this one.
They're moving Ethan Johnston over just a hair. Scott Hogwood is at the plate.
All right, we're setting the field. Bases, please. Thank you. Thank you. Play.
Pointing the bat at Pat.
Set. Ready. Pitch.
And just over the top as he says that don't worry about it, that was my fault. A quick silence from Pat.
Pat's a colorful character, but don't let it fool you. He has a very high sports IQ, and he is in command.
And it's going to go to far left this time as he runs for first. Justin Holland scrambling for that ball. Scott Hogwood at first and safe. Justin was flat out running behind him for that, and Scott just barreling down the line.
So the first 4 batters in the Fire order are all 2 for 2 in this first inning. And they got 9 on the board now. And now the concern is, if you don't get both of these, you're going to flip the order again.
He's going to have Nick Silver up at the plate as the Fire are only 1 run away from hitting double digits.
Trying to make history. Again, there has never been an East Coast team that's won an NBBA championship.
Play.
In 47 years. The Boston Renegades came closest in 2016 when they lost to the Thunder. Tyler Rodriguez was on that team.
Set. Ready. Pitch.
Just over his bat.
Set. Ready. Pitch.
And the pop fly out into center mid as
That's
he runs
trouble.
for third. Rich Crussell they're just standing around it. They might be calling dead ball on this.
It's got to be dead.
Nope, Jaden picked it up,
Nope.
tossed it back in. There was just no.
Bigger on the grass.
Sometimes on these plush fields with thick grass, if the ball is on, it's speaker. But still, this is just the Archer defense just doesn't seem to be moving the way that we've seen them move sometimes. And you said before the game that you saw that it looked like the Philly Fire had a lot more energy on their sideline than the Archers did. You know, it seemed like the Archers, of course, they're intense. I mean, this is a championship game. But, man, right now, this has been all Philly fire. This is a 10-run inning. 5 of their hitters all have 2 runs. Here's the only one who hasn't scored yet. It's Casey Krause. And we're close enough that he heard me.
Good throat lozenges.
6 is going to middle and 28 is going to deep. Like they're actually making.
And they're going to
So they
switch
just
up.
reached Justin Holland and Rich.
Well, 6 and 28. Yep,
Yep,
that's
Rich Russell.
Russell going deep left, and
Moving Holland to center.
Holland coming up. I'm skeptical of this only because we've seen Justin Holland make so many good plays this week, but they're really plugging the middle of that defense with hard hit balls. So we'll see if this works.
Casey Krause. And taking a pass.
He takes his customary first ball.
And just over the top of the outside edge of the bat.
Casey and Pat Krause, the first and only father-son combo to connect for a home run. Happened in Las Vegas.
And just dropping straight down at the plate.
No quieres eso, güey. No lo quieres.
Refilling along the front edge of home plate and reaching his hand back to grip his fingers. And up at the ready. And just catching the very tiniest edge of that. Stepping back off a home plate as he rotates that shoulder again. His bright orange shoes and blue leggings. Gonna have a time for that plane. As Casey steps back off a home plate and just kind of leaning over, hanging on to his bat as he rests, kind of letting that shoulder hang loose. It's the same shoulder that we've seen be an issue.
Did you know it takes approximately 250 beep baseballs to put on the World Series? These are the official sponsors for the beep baseballs needed to host the series: Cardinals Care and the St. Louis Cardinals, and Hannigan Team Realty. Major League Baseball supplied funding for the Kids of Our League, or COOL program, along with beep baseballs, shirts, and other giveaways. Thank you to the Major League Baseball Foundation.
Gonna get a new base check. Quick tap of that bat down on home plate before bringing it over the shoulder. And it's going to be a grounder over into mid-right as he runs for, but that's going to David Smith taking care of that.
Archers needed that. Second out of the inning, and unfortunately, Casey Krause has had both of them for the Fire. Smith in the mid-right field position. Like we said, we saw him make several there yesterday.
It's definitely what the Archers needed to slow this momentum, give them their entire team a little bit of a spark or a step there towards the right direction as Justin Ryan steps up to home plate with his black and gold arm sleeves and his black and yellow knee pads. Just going under the bat.
Vámonos, Hostin.
And it's going to be a grounder to left to Mark Morris as he runs for first. And Mark Morris cleaning that up.
There we go. That's the first chance Mark Morris has had to make a putout, and he makes it. But a huge first inning for the BSO Philly Fire. They put 10 on the board. And as we head to the second, it's Fire 10, Archers 3 in the 2024 NBBA Championship game.
Archers are going to have to get them.
Remind folks that there is a big league that's selling T-shirts and stuff all by the concession stands. All by the concession stands. Big League Sports. Fire T-shirts for the end of today's game.
And speaking of extras, how about New View, Oklahoma? It's not what you can see, it's what you can be. Empowering individuals who are blind or have low vision since 1949. New View, Oklahoma has empowered individuals who are blind or have low vision, maximizing their opportunities for independence through all stages of life. We accomplish this in 3 ways: comprehensive clinics and low vision services, meaningful employment opportunities, and engaging community programs. For more information, visit us online at nvoklahoma.org. Philly now making their way out into the field as we have another small little umpire convergence on the field as we start and go into the top of the second inning. Mike Curtis at the pitcher's mound adjusting his mask, and Mark Morris at the plate ready to dominate.
Mark Morris scored his first time up. So I believe going back to yesterday, he's got 4 consecutive runs. You know, New View, Oklahoma hosts an annual tournament down in Norman, the Sooner State Invitational. That was the last weekend of April this year. It was a 6-teamer. The Gateway Archers won that tournament over the Bayou City Heat in an exciting 1-run game. New View, really a great partner of Major League Baseball. And they've been instrumental in the Oklahoma Lookouts team, which is one of our newer beat ball teams.
Mike holding the ball up. And it's going to be a grounder up the center as he runs for first. Tyler going over for it. Scott Hogwood backing him up. And that's going to be Scott Hogwood for the out.
You don't see Hogwood get a lot of putouts, but he got one there, and that's a big one. Anytime you can retire Mark Morris to start an inning. Boy, oh boy, the Philly Fire look like they are on their way right now. It's still early, but this Fire team, they played at a high level yesterday, and it looks like they're playing at a high level again today. 7-run lead now, 1 out.
Justin Holland getting his base check. Okay.
Might not be a bad time for Holland to lose one here.
It's going to be just under the bat. And it's going to go foul at about 100 and some feet up and just past third base.
Well, that's the idea. He was a little bit early. But that's the kind of contact they want, top of the bat. His power is center and left. He can go opposite field. But when we've seen him hit home runs, generally center and left.
And it's going to pop right up onto the 10th. And
well, he was way early that time. That was about 45 degrees foul.
it was right up over our heads, just about. Just catching the edge of that to keep alive.
Barely.
3 strikes. Play.
Just underneath as he takes his bat back to the bench. A little bit of frustration.
And now up to bat we have David Smith.
Well, we didn't have any PA introductions here, and now let's sound like Richie's on the PA system.
for all the crowd that is here at the field.
Not sure why we weren't doing that from the beginning, but it sounds good now as David Smith to the plate, and this is danger time for Gateway. The last thing you want here is a 0 after a 10-run inning for the Fire. There's 2 outs.
Casey Krause doing a little foot dance out there as they wait for this plane to go overhead. Like he's in a band and dancing and playing drums out there in short right. He's definitely having a lot of fun with it there.
And as we have the plate.
Waiting for that plane to finish.
These fields have been beautiful all week long.
We have a planned flyover that we have 2025 Beat Baseball calendars by John Lukowski for sale.
As we mentioned, $15 a piece.
Table, which the reminder of the score is 10-3, Philly Fox.
Our Slice of Complex Field sponsors, Bill Jones and Sue Slocum, Richard Mark, those are longtime Mind's Eye donors, and Amaron, Illinois, the power company that feeds me my electricity.
David Smith gets his base checks. Mike Curtis holding the ball up.
Game on again.
Pop up high and short in center as he runs to third. Casey kicking it as he cuts it. David missed it.
Oh my!
They're going to confer. He thinks he actually caught it with his fingertips. So he said his foot hit it. So they're going to be conferring if he did not catch it.
Okay, Pat's already saying that he knows what happened. David Smith did kick that base. You don't have to knock it down. All you have to do is touch it.
So that will be a run. Something the Archers desperately needed. He caught it with his toe as he flew by. And the only thing that had made that happen was Casey Krause had kicked that away from him, just out of his hands.
That was ugly on both sides. Krause kicked it, and then Smith ran a bad base, but he did make contact with it, they said. That's all you have to do.
Rich Crussell.
They need to get Crussell going.
And it's going to be a grounder foul on the left over by third base.
Crussell grounded out to Tyler Rodriguez his last time.
One strike. Play.
Just over the top of the bat.
Rodriguez and Hogwood each have a put out for the Fire. The other 3 outs so far have all come on strikeouts.
And a high pop fly over to left as he runs for third. Kind of going, they're scrambling for it, and that's going to be Justin Rhines with that put out. Justin Rhines.
Their left field is as solid as any in the league with Rodriguez, Margist, and Rhines makes a play. Only 1 run for the Archers, and the Fire have a chance to really put the hammer down now, leading by 6 going to the
bottom of the second.
Bottom of the second.
Archers huddling up before they head out into defense. They're going to have to do a different defense than we saw in the first inning. They're going to have to get on top of that, although a lot of that just maintaining from those balls being hit basically just beyond their reach, unless they either add additional players, which they cannot do, or just completely resetting how they stand. I think it'd be Tyler Rodriguez up to home plate.
Yeah, this is the heart of the Philly order coming up now. Rodriguez, Margist, and Hogwood, they've all been hot. All 3 of them are 2 for 2 so far in this game.
Archers are very slow making their way out onto the field right now.
The Archers need to pick up the energy level in this game, or before they know it, it's going to be over and the Fire are going to be world champions.
Kids selling 50-50 raffle tickets at Elite Point. Yeah.
Tyler trying to find home plate there, and he's found some shoes. Umpires converging out in far center before then splitting back up and making their way to their positions. And the fans here have gone not only behind the tents, but they've spanned all along, both behind the sidelines, almost all the way to the backs of the fields on both sides.
94. All right, we got 94 in for who?
28.
Okay, so Bora now in for Crussell. Crussell out of the game. They moved him first, switched him and Holland. Now they've taken him out and put Bora in.
And again, Tyler up at the plate. It's going to be a bouncing grounder over into right past Ricky Castaneda as he runs for first. And he's tapped it with his hand. That is going to be a run for Tyler Rodriguez.
Well, he went opposite field there, and he can do that. Tyler can go to all fields. You know, early in Tyler's career, he was almost a dead pull hitter down the left field line. But he has developed, and he can go anywhere, as our public relations director, Richie Flores, is having fun on the PA system here.
John Marr just up at plate as Tyler rounds back around behind their catcher with a chest bump with Casey Krause.
Speaking of shortstops, and Richie Flores, he had quite a few putouts this week too. So a lot of good defense this week. Archers need some here though. That's that run they got back. So that's a 7 now. We're back to a 7-run cushion. And the Fire are the home team.
Fields has asked for a new ball. John still at home plate as he has a quick stretch there. Scott Hogwood waiting on deck. New ball into Pat.
So Marr just at the plate here.
Couple tosses there with this new ball as John stands by. He said he wants one more.
Already the third time through the Fire batting order, and we are only in the second inning. Only, and no strikeouts yet for Philly. Put out so far in this game, one each by Morris, Castaneda, and Smith. Everything else has been a run. 11 of them on the board for the Fire.
And just over the top of the bat. Just refeeling his glove along the edges of the plate. Just over the top of the bat. Pat said that was me. Don't worry about it. And they call in the time for the plane, as Pat knew they would.
They've been calling him early. Let's see, that plane in, guess to be on the safe side. And I guess it is coming this direction. This is that time of the morning. Y'all, it's been hit or miss. In the afternoons, we don't seem to have as much plane traffic, but in the mornings we have. It's really been the only major cause for delay sometime this week. Everything else has gone pretty much on schedule. But they're playing by ear, literally, and so you want the least amount of noise as possible. especially if you're the Archers and you're down 7 in the bottom of the second with nobody out and the Fire batting.
And this is John Margist at the plate for Philly.
Strike! Play! Set! Ready! Hit!
And just underneath the bat.
Strike!
Let's have him move that glove up.
Set! Ready! Pitch!
Gonna take a pass.
One ball! 3 strikes!
So the count is full now on Margist.
Set! Ready! Pitch!
Oh, he struck him
And it's
out.
going to be a strikeout for Scott Hogwood coming up to the plate.
Okay, that was a strikeout on
First strikeout of the game for Pat Krause.
Just at 11-4, now
One out and Hogwood to the plate.
Hogwood lining his bat up along the front edge of the plate before getting his stance set, picking that bat up.
Quiet, please!
No, we've already started it, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, we didn't do it.
Thank you.
Play!
Pointing his bat at Pat before pulling it up over the shoulder.
Set! Ready! Pitch!
And it's going to be a pop-up right to Pat. Reaches up his hand and tries to grab that. Nick running in place in the batter's box.
1 strike! Play! Set! Ready! Pitch!
And just over the top of the bat by a hair.
Boy, these are the most clean swing and misses we've seen all game so far from the Fire. Wonder if this is just temporary or maybe they've lost a little bit of an edge.
Ready! Pitch!
And bouncing grounder going to be foul on the left.
Hogwood 2 for 2. He scored twice in that first inning.
Resetting up at home plate.
Three strikes! Play! Set! Ready! Pitch!
And he's taking a pass.
One ball! 3 strikes!
And we're going to have a time.
Yep, there's another one.
They're definitely hearing those quite far off.
Want to recognize the NBBA Executive Committee, Treasurer John Lykowski, Secretary Steve Guerra, Second Vice President, Public Relations Director Richie Flores, First Vice President, Tournament Director Cassie Hopkins,
Another reminder that we are selling
and the President of the NBBA is Jerry
for
Windell.
the Woodard kids, so buy your 50-50 raffle tickets before we do the drawing tonight.
Alright, faces, please. Thank you.
Got that base check.
One ball! 3 strikes! Play! Set! Ready! Pitch!
And it's going to be a high pop up in left, and it's gonna bounce foul as Mark Morris snags it up. Wiping off the sweat off of his forehead as he walks it back into home. And Mark resetting back up into position. This is definitely the largest crowd here that I have seen.
I don't know that I can recall a crowd this big for any World Series championship game that I can in a long time. You know, in Columbus, Georgia, I remember when Taiwan made the championship game in 2013 against Austin, they had a huge contingency of Taiwanese that were local to that area that came out to support the home run, who won that championship. But yeah, this is one of the bigger crowds we've had.
Scott getting his feet into position. Bat up over the shoulder. And ticking off the top of his bat, rolling backwards.
Full count on Hogwood after the Margis strikeout. Tyler Rodriguez started this inning with a run.
And a line drive into left deep as he runs for a third. Justin Holland scrambling for it, but again, it went right behind Kyle Bora. Justin Holland running to go grab that, kind of knocking it with his hands even further behind him, and that giving Scott enough time to take it to a 12-4 game and bring Nick Silver to the plate.
Largest lead of the game now for the Philly Fire at 8. And again, we're in a situation now. You need to get an out in one of these next two, or they'll flip the order again. Casey Krause on deck. He's the only one who hasn't scored yet.
Casey definitely not wanting to be reminded of that. They're not all the way set in the field yet.
It's another reason, if there's anyone who wants to donate money for a press box, NBBA.org.
This is Nick Silver nodding his head at Pat.
Pat Krause giving some tough love instruction to Nick Silver.
Just gonna be a little short grounder to the left. Mark Morris running over there to scoop that up, easily beating out Nick Silver to the base. Mark Morris.
Mark Morris was frustrated because he couldn't put him out that last time, but he got him there. That ends the inning. Not bad.
And that was a short grounder to Mark Morris with a put out. 2 outs.
2 outs.
I'm sorry, there's 2 outs
Casey
in the
Krause
inning.
up.
Casey Krause to the plate, 12-4, so that is 2 outs. Outs this inning recorded by Margis and Silver. Bottom of the second. Yes.
Casey with a quick exhale. Pat instructing the catcher. Took a pass.
He customarily takes that first pitch. If he can score here, it would get Justin Rhines back up.
Just over the bat.
Casey, do it, baby.
Reaching his hand out behind him to stretch those fingers.
Casey Krause, ultra competitive. He's been fighting and battling through shoulder injuries, and he's a warrior.
Oh, bouncing a hit, Pat, right in the hip.
Took one for the team there.
He tried to turn, caught him on the edge of his hip to his glutes as Casey heads back to the plate. Pat walking that off. And a practice toss there, and then stretching his leg out, trying to make sure he's still rubbing that spot. It's got a smart. And high pop up into short left as he
Good
runs to
tough
first.
play.
He's already there kicking. He literally did a high kick to first for another run.
Every hitter has now scored for the Philly Fire. And that's a big one. It's a 9-run game, and now Rhines is up. Boy, and you got Rhines, Rodriguez, and Margist. If they score 3 more runs here, you're going to invoke the run rule here early. Who would have thunk it?
12-run rule on a championship game would be
We're not there yet, but we're getting
Not there.
precariously close.
Justin bat at the ready. Pat correcting the catcher's mitt. And it's going to be along the baseline, foul on the right. Ball being rolled back up to Pat.
No, his swing was awesome.
I just got a message. Apparently, we've got a ton of viewers right now. Thank you all for tuning in. And throughout this week, thanks to a lot of promoting by Mind's Eye and others, we have been breaking records with viewership.
Far under the bat.
We really appreciate it. And it seems like Rosina and I just keep getting to call the really competitive
Oh,
games.
it's going to pop foul right behind us.
Last year, we had a bunch of 1-run games in Norman, including the championship game. This year, we had all that drama on Thursday and yesterday.
And it's going to be a line drive out into deep
Another tough
right
play.
as he runs for third. Finding that base, and he is going to be safe as Ethan Johnston still struggling for the ball. A run up for Justin Rhines, bringing Tyler to the plate with his light blue streaming bandana around his head. Matches his light blue shoes.
Right here.
Boy, are they wired, that Philly Fire team right now.
We have a time out in the field defensively as they all huddle up. Definitely.
Okay. Speak. Move it, please. Trying to back off some of the. We've got a lot of spectators here, but. Trying to make sure we give this massive viewing audience the best possible production we can. Thanks to Graham Mathena and Live Event Productions, Cam, our cameraman. They've been here all week. This is our 9th Game of the Day broadcast, 10th if you include the wool exhibition, which got us all started on Monday night.
They have a huddle out there finishing up with the Archers as they get rid of all hands to the center.
This is their second defensive timeout in 2 innings.
They're starting to retake their positions. As Jason Price heads back out toward home plate.
10-run game, and Tyler Rodriguez coming up. I don't believe Tyler has been put out all game long. I think he's 3 for 3.
Jason Frazier heading back off the field after that defensive timeout. Spotters finishing setting up Archer's defense. Tyler doing his shotgun shooting at the bases. And an exhale. And it's going to roll right back off of it to Jason Price.
Okay. Archer's 1 out away from getting out of this.
And just a little low and under the swing. Just above the swing.
You know, this is the first time, of course, that this field has been used this week, and you wonder if it's running a little faster. It does seem to me like ground balls have been moving just a little bit more. Not that there have been a lot of them by the fire.
Pat just holding that ball up for the outfielders, and they're fine with it. Rolling off of the bat and back over to the catcher as Tyler tries to reach for it.
Just got a piece.
3 strikes. Play.
He's yawning at home plate. And it's going to foul over to the Philly bench. Casey Krause getting a hold of that to toss it back to Pat. That's going to be a strikeout.
A rare strikeout of Tyler Rodriguez. That ends the inning, but some more damage done. 4 more runs in. Archer's got to get going, man. After 2 innings, they're down 10. Still time, but they've got to get the bats cooking now.
And while both teams are itching for that win, how about making every mortgage feel like a win with the Ed Fitzpatrick team at Cross Country Mortgage? Navigating the mortgage process doesn't have to be overwhelming. When you work with Cross Country Mortgage, you'll collaborate closely with a licensed professional who will make sure that you get the mortgage you deserve. Our entire team is available to assist you from application to closing and beyond. We work tirelessly to remove the frustration from the mortgage process and provide you with a personalized experience. So get your win today with Beat Baseball fan and loan advisor Ed at ed.fitz@ccm.com.
The Archers will come up in the 3rd inning with 5, 6, and 1 scheduled to bat.
Nathan Lawson will be at the plate as our umps get a very quick snack break.
Slice of Soccer Complex. Get some love to Mind's Eye Radio, St. Louis Lighthouse for being our co-sponsors.
Clapping for our sponsors.
And when we come up to bat, we have Nathan Lawson for the Gateway Archer.
The Archers over on their bench hydrating massively. Most every player either ingesting water or pouring water on them as our far field umps head back out to the field into position.
They brought out a lot of umpires here for this game, as we always do for the championship game. Now the rookie Lawson.
And it's going to be a little on the inside. Tyler hollering out as hopping up and down. And it's going to be a little on the inside and under again. Just catching the edge of the bat and dropping down.
3 quick strikes. It just doesn't look smooth right now. That's a strikeout.
That is a strikeout on Nathan Lawson.
That's going to be a strike. Mike is saying that he tipped that one, but
4 and 1 out. Up to
Jason
bat,
Price going to come.
Castaneda.
Anybody back here hear a tip on that pitch?
No.
No?
No.
Jason Price asking the
yeah.
scorekeepers if they heard a tick on that. So
And-
that is going to maintain an out.
My opinion is I didn't hear one either. I wish I could say I did. I'd love to see the kid get another swing, but it sounded about as clean as you can get.
That's Ricky Castaneda up at home plate.
Castaneda was a strikeout victim, a rare strikeout victim his last time up. They need to get him going.
Asking to have first base adjusted a hair. First and third. He's adjusting his pant leg there. And it's going to be just over the top.
I'm getting a message that people on the stream are saying the video and audio is out of sync. Here's the deal, because we heard this yesterday and we checked it. That's internet, not on our end.
That's going to be a foul on the right.
So if you are, for example, watching this at the park, it may be the internet connection on your end. We haven't dropped a frame all week long. And so hopefully you might just refresh or something of that nature, but we have no control over
Taking a pass.
over the internet feed. Is a rare take there.
And he's going to send it foul to the right.
He was late on that one.
Walking it back up to home as Mike Curtis gets possession of the ball again. And Mike also retying his shoe out at the pitcher's mound.
They're just out of sync right now compared to what we saw yesterday afternoon. Now, we saw a slow start from the Archers on Thursday against the Edge. They were down 6-1 at one point, stormed back to win that game.
And we're going to be ready for the pitch. And it's going to be a short little grounder over to right. Casey Krause coming up
Krause
on
is
that,
gonna
and
eat.
he already has it.
Yeah.
That was a gift wrap to Casey Krause.
Krause will eat that up every time.
In the bottom of the second.
And now they need another big run here from Mark Morris.
14-4. And up to bat. Lead off Mark Morris.
A lot of clapping going on over at the Archer side as Mark Morris steps up to the plate.
They're trying to find a spark here any way possible.
Anything at all. 14-4, top of the third. And it's going to be a pop-up short to mid-center just past Scott Hogwood as he runs to third, and he's going to be safe. They got that spark. Can they turn it into more?
14-5. Philadelphia Flyers.
Just dropped that just right behind Scott Hogwood, and it brings Justin Holland to the plate.
Holland.
Keep the line moving now if you're the Archers. That's a 2-out run, but you still got a long hill to climb.
And that's going to be a strike. And popping up right back to our scorekeeper's table again. Landing right in front of it and then bouncing up to catch the underside of the table.
We are in prime foul ball territory here behind home plate.
And a high pop up into short right.
Who
And
just
finally hits
landed?
Casey Krause as he runs for third. And They're going to say he is safe.
I think they're going to review this.
They're going to review that.
I'm not leaving this action.
He's headed over to the first base umps.
I think we got it.
Patting them right away. We're asking for a review on that one.
Thank you.
But it was a high pop-up. Fielded by Casey Krause, but ran base by good run base. Oh,
Wow.
Justin Hall did good.
I can save my breath and just let Richie give you all the play-by-play right there on the PA system. We're all having a blast out here at Slyman Brothers Slysa Complex. Slysa, in case you're wondering, S-L-Y-S-A, stands for St. Louis Youth Soccer Association.
They're saying
Call
safe.
stands.
That's going to maintain the state.
2 outs. And batter up,
David Smith.
David Smith.
Bases, please.
Getting a base check.
Thank you. Thank you. Play, ready. Go. Set.
And just over the bat. Adjusting his feet by Chad.
Smith has scored one today.
And right over Mike's head as it goes to center and over Scott Hogwood's head as he runs to third. They're still running for it, and that's another run. Maybe that spark did become a little something more.
Hey, we got a 2-out Archers rally now, 3 in a row.
It's going to be 14-7 now with Kyle Bora at the plate.
St. Louis' son, Kyle Bora.
Hey, tell him, somebody's got to tell him to back off that. As Jamie Simpson, our base operators to my left, we got some Texans at this table with us, with Jamie Simpson, Glenda Cole, and Sylvia Redmond.
Getting first and third.
That's that Morris Holland Smith connection. They've got 6 of the Archers' 7 runs.
It's going to be a pop-up short center as he runs for first. Tyler coming up, Casey Krause coming up, and he's going to be safe.
Make it 4 in a row. Here come Gateway.
That spark did exactly what they needed. It's become a little bit of a small fire. Let's see if they can make a blazing inferno. Demo is now in.
So it looks like we're going to have a pinch hitter, number 2, Demetrius Morrow. That's 4 straight runs, so they have doubled their output here just in the last 4 batters. Still a hill to climb, though. Remember, even after all this, they're chasing 6, and the Fire are at home, but this is the best rally that the Archers have had so far. 2 outs.
And a nice line drive over into right past Casey as he runs for third, and that's past Sean Walker. And that's going to be a run for Demo. Now a 9-14 game. The Archers are finally getting fired up as he comes back into the bench.
And that huge Gateway fan contingency over to our right.
Demo, as he comes
Getting
back,
fired up.
slapping his fist into his hand.
Morrow with a run in a championship game.
I think they're conferring on this.
I'm not sure what they're talking about. He was in there.
Table is open.
Jason Price conferring with the Archers team to explain the ruling. Now he's going to head back over to the Philly to also confer. Ricky Castaneda waits patiently at home plate.
I'm interested. Was it that close of a play? I didn't think it was. What's the story here?
Jeff runs. And
Nope.
Jason Price still back over here. I'm not sure if maybe it was a warning possibly, or that Ricky Castaneda ate the plate.
Well, either way, whatever it was, we're back to action. The run counts. All this damage with 2 outs.
And just rolling off the top of Ricky's bat over to cameraman Cam.
Castaneda just hasn't really looked comfortable at the plate today yet. This is an enormous at-bat, though, because if he scores, you get Morris back up.
Just underneath his swing.
This is...
And it's going to be a short little pop-up right to Mike being foul. Turning himself around to head back to home. Adjusting home plate over. It had slid when Ricky ran on it. Kind of slid on the grass underneath it. And taking a pass.
Full count now.
And it's going to be a little grounder on the right, going foul as he slows and checks himself, running to third.
5 runs in the inning here for the Archers so far, all with 2 outs.
Our conference was crowd noise on the first base side, so we had 2 umpires go and tell them they have to stay quiet because they were cheering on the hit. And then we had a warning on number 2 for the Archers for language.
Demetris Morrow got a little bit excited and got a warning for some language. Can't say that has never happened to me when I was a player.
Just over the top of that, and that is going to make for that third out, bringing the fire up and sending the Archers back out to defend those 5 runs that they did get in that inning.
We have a sweet little girl up here. She says her name is Princess. She's about 4, and she's looking for her daddy at the scorer's table here. So please come get Princess.
So 5 runs in the inning, but they
Princess has been located.
wanted more.
Have the fire out there huddling up on the third base side before they're going to head out there, and the Archers also doing a quick huddle.
Thanks, man. What do you want for beer?
Just a big thank you out there to all our listeners and all our volunteers who have been out here assisting all week to make this World Series possible. Runners, umpires, base judges, scorekeepers, people running water, people running the equipment back and forth. A great big shout out to you all, for which we could not make all this happen. Archers now heading out into the field as John Margis straps on his batting gloves.
Another reminder, folks, please hold your applause until the play is over and while the pitcher and batter are getting set up. We love to see the big hits, but let's keep our gasps inside. Inside voices, everybody.
Pat with a couple tosses there as we
Even though we're
wait
outside.
for the field to set. John also pulling his knee pads up a little higher as he prepares for the at-bat. Now stepping up.
When we get back up to the plate here, we will have for the Philadelphia Fire, John Marcus.
Also have Kyle Bora tying his shoe out in mid-center. We got the sound off out in the field.
He said 14.
And clapping now is
All right, Fire looking to build on this 5-run lead here in the bottom of the third of what's been a remarkably high-scoring game so far. We've had
14-9.
mostly games played in the teens and even single digits. The highest scoring game we saw all week was that 21-20 game yesterday afternoon between the Archers and the Thunder. By the way, we did research Jared Woodard's 38 batters faced without a strikeout in that game yesterday, in a losing effort, mind you, is the most in any World Series game, the most at-bats without a strikeout in one game, at least since 1997. I couldn't find anything back farther than that. Tim Hibner faced 37 batters without a strikeout in a game in 2010 in Rochester, Minnesota against the Kansas All-Stars. That was the previous high mark, 38. A 38 batter perfect game yesterday by Jared, and they came up 1 run short. Now,
John stepping back off the plate as he waits so he can get a few practice swings in so he's not sitting idle.
it seems like this was a long change of sides here going to the bottom of the third.
They had time for a plane.
Now we've got another plane going here. Now, here we go.
Checking this ball. Pat's going to toss that up a couple of times. Let's go for another. I guess one more toss. And John going to make his way up to the plate.
Set the field. Faces, please. Thank you. Thank you. Play.
And bat up at the ready. And just over the top of the bat. Trailing the bat up along the front edge of the plate. And we have a tie. As another friendly neighborhood airplane comes across.
That went a little quieter than some of the ones we've had. We've had some pretty low-flying planes here
Some
over
of
the
them
week at
very
times.
low.
Lambert Airport, not too far from here.
One strike.
And ready to roll again. And a high pop up into right just behind Ricky Castaneda as he runs for
Trouble.
third. Ethan Johnson and David Smith trying to get there, but he is safe.
Well, that didn't take long. The Fire just relentless right now with their offense. They get one of those 5 runs back now.
Johnny Law scores, and it's 15-9. And batter up, Scott Hogwood.
Scott Hogwood with his tall red socks taking home plate as Mark Morris and Ricky Castaneda are put just back into their zone area and moving David Smith up a hair from where he had ran back for the ball.
I'm actually going to agree with Nick on the on-deck circle. I wish that they had like a booth or a room for that PA system. It is booming behind us, but it's good for the crowd to keep them aware of what's going on. As you heard, 15-9 here, 6-run game, bottom of the third.
Scott Hogwood digging his toes there in at home plate. He points his bat at Pat, and we're going to have a time for another airplane.
Keeping everybody on their toes. I think it's the airport for sportsmanship.
Readjusting home plate just a hair as well.
You know, once you get past, it seems like, though, the 11 o'clock, 11:30 hour here, these planes get less frequent. We'll see if it's wishful thinking or not, but I can wish if I want to.
If only wishes grew on trees. The Archers would have a few more runs up on the board from their side of the field.
I would say so.
That's what they would be wishing very much. But
However,
Scott
they've
Hogwood-
gotten out of immediate danger of that 12-run rule thanks to that 5-run rally.
And a nice line drive over into left as he runs to first. Justin Holland skidding almost onto his face, but he's going to be safe.
Hogwood is safe.
Justin trying to get to that, and as he reached and threw himself down, he kind of caught a little on his shoulders and rolled,
Bottom of the third. And we have a
losing
batter
a
up.
few seconds. Nick Silver
St.
to the
Louis
plate.
own Nick Silva.
So, 7-run game now. And Silver coming up in this middle part of the order. Margist, Hogwood, Silver, they've just been red hot.
Scott coming back up around behind the catcher with a very happy smile as he fist bumps the catchers coming around the corner to his bench.
Everybody in the lineup for the Fire has scored. Everybody in the lineup has scored multiple runs for the Fire already in this game, other than Casey Krause, who is on deck. Very balanced attack for Philly, looking for their first World Championship ever, and the first for an East Coast team.
Just underneath the bat. And it's going to be a pop-up right in front of Jason Price. Colin Cross running over there to save our head ump.
That was a good catch.
Not that Jason couldn't have saved himself there.
Catchers don't get enough credit in our sport. Rob Weissman, the coach for the Boston Renegades, says it all the time. He's also their catcher.
And it's going to be a line drive over into left. Oh, just under Mark Morris's arms as he runs for first. And Justin backing him up for the out.
That was the first big put out this game for Justin Howland. That's one for the Archers. Mark that one. Let's see if that'll turn some things around here. Now, if they get an out from Krause, you feel okay.
Just going under Mark Morris's arm as he lays down in that underarm pocket. Justin right behind him, coming up and snagging that for the out.
First out of the inning. Only 2 runs in so far. Krause scored his last time up. He is 1 for 3.
Casey with his bright blue headband and matching socks and bright orange shoes at the plate. Taking a pass. And it's going to be a strike as it slides under the bat. And getting a nice line drive over to the left past Mark Morris. Justin Holland going there,
Again.
bouncing off his fingers, but he's got it out.
Justin Howland back-to-back putouts for the Archers. This is the Archers defense that we needed to see today if they're going to have a chance to force an if necessary game. 2 down, and now Justin Rhines, if the Archers can get this one, they will have held to 2 runs, and they'll have a legitimate shot here. Oh, boy.
This is Justin Rhines at the plate. And just underneath the bat. Just catching that as it rolls right up under by our feet.
Strike! Play! Set! Ready! Pitch!
Catching the very tip of that as it goes foul on the right. Ball back into Pat.
3 strikes! Play! Set! Ready! Pitch!
And bouncing it again, hitting Pat right in the hip. Same side. He's taking a beating.
Way to take one for the team, Pat. He doesn't want the ground ball off of the bat of Justin Rhines. Not that I'm saying he did that on purpose, but sometimes it's good fortune.
3 strikes! Play!
Pat walking back up to the pitcher's mound. Justin at the ready.
Set! Ready! Pitch!
Another bouncing grounder, short right. Ricky coming up on it as he runs for first. Ricky over there, and
Ricky.
he's got it out. That's going to be the 3rd one, bringing the Archers in and ending the 3rd as we head to the top of the 4th. 16-9 Fire. When all these players go back home, have you ever struggled to get a job? Forget a job. What about getting that interview? If you haven't heard of the Getting Hired Playbook, that's how blind people like you today are getting job interviews left and right, and even better, getting job offers from companies that they want to work for. The next GHP training starts in August, so go to accessibilityofficer.com and click on vocational rehabilitation. Accessibility is with 2 A's. Accessibilityofficer.com.
So, as we are halfway through this championship game here in St. Charles, Missouri, that was the best defensive inning for the Gateway Archers. They only allowed 2 in, made 3 successive putouts, 2 by Holland and 1 by Castaneda. So the spread is 7. It's been as high as 10. And now the Archers will come up in the top of the 4th. They scored 5 straight runs there at one point in the 3rd. They need to keep doing damage and try to claw their way back into this game.
Philly Fire just now turning off their "We Will Rock You" as they take the field, and Mark Morris waiting at the plate.
Morris, Holland, and Smith, the top 3 in the order, has done a lot of the damage here today.
And a little low and under the bat.
Mark Morris has scored a couple runs, but the Fire have done a good job taking him out of the game on defense a little bit here. Only a couple putouts.
Just catching and rolling over the top of the bat. going to be a little short grounder on the left. Tyler coming up on it as he runs for third, but Tyler has that. Yeah! Tyler Rodriguez with the out.
Not even Mark Morris can roll a ball out to Tyler and expect to score. That's one out.
1 out. Top of 4. And batter up.
Justin Holland.
Holland.
We have time by Casey Krause for another plane. Sean Walker hopping up and pulling his knees to his chest, staying limber out in the field.
Remind you again, Missy Lykowski is down to our left, selling 2025 NBBA calendars with photos of elite players for each month, $15. Some of the proceeds go back to the NBBA. So if you're at or near the park and you haven't gotten your calendar yet, pick it up from Missy. I got mine.
Got that base check, and Justin ready for the pitch. And just rolling off the top of the bat. Just dropping straight down. It's going to be a strike because it goes under the bat. Mike holding the ball up for the outfield.
I think.
And it's going to be a strike for Justin as he walks off again to the bench.
Can't have it. You cannot afford to be striking out Justin Holland in the 4th inning of a championship game when you're chasing runs. Boy, so unfortunate after it looked like the Archers were building some momentum. You got a little ground out by Mark Morris and then a strikeout by Holland. Now here we are with 2 outs and David Smith. Archers did some damage with 2 outs last inning. They're starting to run out of time here.
Just under the bat.
Again, a Philly Fire victory, and they are champions. If the Archers should come back and win, we will play the if necessary game.
Just inside and under.
Yeah, they're just out of sync.
David Smith with a deep exhale before pulling the bat up. Just rolling off the top of the bat. Wiping his gloves off in the grass.
They got to have it here. Can't have a goose egg. 3 strikes now, 2 outs.
Casey Krause called time for another plane.
David Smith made it to the championship game in 2019 with the Jets, took second to the Thunder. Made it to championship game 2021, took second to the Thunder. Made it to the championship Saturday in 2022 and lost to the Edge. Made it to championship Saturday last year in Norman, Oklahoma, and lost again to the Edge. So this is his 5th one, still looking for his first ring.
Plane dropping down a little bit lower. And it's going to be a grounder over to Tyler as he runs for first. Tyler scooping it up, sliding like a baseball star that he is.
He is a star, one of the best in the game, and he gets some style points for that play. Tyler Rodriguez can feel it. He's a former champion. He knows when his team is getting close, and they are close right now. That is a 1-2-3 inning on the the top of the Archers' order. The worst thing that could have happened to the Archers in that situation. Now we go to the bottom of the fourth. 7-run game. Oh, boy.
Archer's going to take the field here. This is going to have Tyler Rodriguez, who just had that wonderful fancy put out coming up to home plate for the Fire.
You make a great play, you get to lead off the inning. It's funny how that works sometimes. But this is really the hottest part of this Fire batting order right now is this 2, 3, and 4 with Rodriguez and Margist and Hogwood.
Batter up.
And the Fire itching for that win as Jeff Rhines, this is his last year as well. So he will be retiring, looking for a win also for him.
He has said that he's going to stay around the organization and help out. Of course, his son Justin is their leadoff hitter and stud left fielder, but doesn't care to coach the team anymore, so they'll have probably, and I'm just speculating, that Pat Krause may take over those reins next year. We've got a few people that have been around and have been household names in this game that have said they're hanging it up after this year. Tanner Gears from the Bayou City Heat. John Parker, after 35 years, says this will be his last. As time marches on, in beat ball and in life, time getting short for the Archers and the Fire, up 7.
And popping foul behind him over to the Fire bench. Colin running back to
Nice
go
catch,
grab
Colin.
One strike. Play.
that. Exhale for Tyler. And a nice line drive over, bouncing off of Mark Morris's
play.
chest, but it slowed it down, and he picked it up off the ground for an out for Mark Morris.
Mark says, all right, Tyler, if you can do it, I can do it. You heard it from here. You heard that pop as it hit him.
John.
Who had that one?
Marcus.
Nice play by Morris. He hadn't been as busy today as he was yesterday. That's a big one there. As the Archers try to stay in this here in the bottom of the fourth.
John Margis up to the plate as Tyler comes up by Pat to then come across to his bench.
We're setting the field. Bases, please. Thank you. Thank you. Play.
John feeling the back of home plate.
Well, this guy is like them.
And it's going to be a grounder to Mark Morris, bouncing over his feet. Then he's grabbed it, and he's got it before he tumbles into third. But another out for Mark Morris doing what he does.
So the defenses now from both teams starting to assert themselves finally in this game after it was just a slugfest from the beginning. 2 outs now, bottom of the fourth. Let's see if the Archers defense can return the favor after they were put out 3 up, 3 down. Now they've got the first 2 of this inning, and we got Hogwood to the plate.
But that's what we thought.
And
He's
Scott
moving back, so I can see
Hogwood
that.
up to the plate.
No, that's
And it's going to be a line drive deep left as he runs to first. Scott Hogwood trying to, Justin rolling over, losing it, and a run for Scott Hogwood as he dances all around first base.
That's a big, big run for a big, big man for his team. And now that'll
And a
push
nice
the lead back up to 8.
dabbling dash with his toes back and forth, some little footwork with his hands raised in the air, and blowing kisses out to the field as he comes back across to his bench. Nick Silver up at home plate with his purple and unicorn socks.
Faces, please. Wait.
That was a rope by Hogwood. 2 out run, and Pat Krause telling Nick, you are not smarter than the process. Just stay with me, baby, and believe it.
And it's a high pop-up foul to the left.
Pat Krause, like a lot of sports-minded coaches, managers, and so forth, talks a lot about the process. Of course, my all-time favorite coach, Nick Saban, he always talked about the process and Roll Tide.
Just underneath the swing.
But Pat Krause is getting the best out of Nick Silver right now. This is as well as I've seen him play really in his career. I mean, he's been with so many teams.
Just under the outer edge of the bat.
Three strike.
I think Pat's telling him to take one here.
Right, took that pass.
One ball, 3 strikes.
Moment of truth. 2 outs, bottom of the 4th, full count.
And a line drive up the center as he runs
he
to
split
third. Justin Holland scrambling for that, but he is safe. That's a run for Nick Silver.
What a job by Pat Krause and Nick Silver. That's where that symbiotic relationship in beat baseball between pitcher and batter, that worked to perfection. They used all of their pitches. He talked him through it, and then he got a nice solid shot, and Nick let his speed do the rest. That's just a great job of coaching and managing by the Honorable Patrick Krause, and they're closing in on a championship right now. They've got their 9-run lead back here in the bottom of the 4th.
Casey Krause with his base check. Pat wanting the plate adjusted. Casey retapping home plate before bringing that bat up. Took a pass. And a high pop-up over into short right. Ricky
Trouble.
Castaneda as he runs for third. And that's going to be out by Ricky Castaneda.
He gunned Casey. That's a great play. That was in the air. I thought that was trouble. Plus, when you go opposite field in the air like that, you never know which way it's going to kick. Great job by Ricky. And the inning's over, but a few more runs, couple more runs on the board. It's a 9-run game now, 18-9. The Archers just 6 outs left to play with as we go to the top of the 5th.
Bosma Enterprises navigating blindness. Bosma Enterprises partners with socially responsible companies that have a focus on supplier diversity. These partnerships create jobs for people with vision loss who would otherwise face a 70% unemployment rate. Bosma Center for Visionary Solutions is located in Indianapolis and serves hundreds of clients each year all over the state of Indiana. Our experienced staff, more than half of whom are blind, offer personalized programs ranging from counseling to job placement to training for daily living skills. These initiatives help adults gain life skills they need to remain independent and job skills to stay self-sufficient. Please visit bosma.org, BOSMA.org.
And much like New View, Oklahoma, in that part of the country, Bosma heavily involved in Indie Beatball, including sponsoring the Indie Beatball Bonanza, which happens every year at North Central High School in Indianapolis. It's gone on every year without fail the first weekend of June since 2002. Even during the pandemic, even 2020 didn't stop Indy from putting on a tournament. That was in August. And so Bosma heavily involved, and we thank them. Top of the fifth, Rosina.
Kyle Bora.
It's getting late.
And it's going to be a pop-up into mid-left as he runs for third. Tyler overshooting, coming back for it, but that's going to be a run for Kyle Bora.
Ooh, Tyler overran that a little bit. That was a good hit, though. First pitch by Bora.
He overran that just a little bit, tried to backtrack, digging his feet in, but Kyle had hit the base. Demo up at home plate. And Ricky Castaneda on deck as Kyle comes back around behind the catcher. Field is good.
So back to an 8-run game.
First and third, base check. Demo. And a nice pop fly over into right as he runs for first. There's Sean Walker running for that. And that's going to be a run for Demo.
2 in a row, and 2 for 2 now for Demetrius Morrow off the bench. Demo getting it done in front of a large home crowd. The lead back to 7. And the Archers trying to fight off the ropes here. Trying to force a second game here.
It's going to be a tight run, hard battle in these last 2 innings for the Archers, unless they can keep repeating these deep hits like they've just been getting. Field is good. Ricky Castaneda, as Reed asks.
Well, they got to keep putting balls in play. The problem is they've strung some runs together, but then it seems like there'll be a strikeout and then they'll hit the wall. Top of the order now. Here's their opportunity, though.
And a line drive down the foul line on the third. Tyler doing a little penguin run as he hobbles over to gather that ball up and bring it back into Mike Curtis.
So Castaneda in the 6-hole with Morris on deck. You got the speed now of the Archers. That's going to be coming up here, and so got a 7-run game. This is not impossible. The Archers just have to keep swinging away, and they have to keep putting it in play.
At a time, Ricky Castaneda with his blue and red batting gloves. Feeling along home plate.
It's been a struggle today for Castaneda, especially at the plate.
Bouncing grounder over into short to mid-right as he runs for third. Scott Hogwood and Casey both over to it, and then Scott Hogwood's going to have the out on that one.
That's the second put out for Scott Hogwood today. I don't know that we saw him make one yesterday. Good team defense. The ground balls aren't getting it done today. They're getting picked up by this stingy Philly defense.
Casey almost having a hand on that, but Scott had a much firmer grip with 2 hands and lifted that up for that out. Now we're going to have Mark Morris up at the plate.
18-11.
Well, they're going to check this to see what that was.
Well,
running the rounds on all our field umps. He's finished at first.
They've reviewed a few. They haven't overturned any today.
Everybody.
He's halfway across the back of the field.
No.
Everybody having fun?
Checking now, coming up to the third base ump.
Hey, let's give it up for the Fonzie balls, everybody.
Last confirming here before he turns and heads back
Let's
to
give it up
home
for all
plate.
our umpires, everybody. How about our scorekeepers, everybody?
And he's now on his way back, and he's saying safe.
Oh, they overturned the call. That's the first one today. That's the first.
Guess the score. 18-12.
Yeah!
No outs. 0 outs. And Mark Morris at the plate.
Jason is over there talking to Jeff Rhines, explaining the reversal of this call to the Philly. Jeff walking away, shaking his head.
They spent a long time reviewing that.
All right, let's go, Mark. Keep us rolling.
I think the PA said there were no outs in this inning. I believe there's 1 out in the inning.
Thank you. Thank you. Play. Here we go.
And rolling off the top of the bat to the catcher.
I'll have to confirm that. We do have 1 out in the inning, correct, ladies? No. 0 outs in the inning, so it's 18-12, and Morris up at the plate.
Just dropping right down at his feet. Tyler turning around to head back.
No thanks.
Gonna be a pop-up foul on the left over by the Phillies bench.
Bat is right behind you.
Mark setting his bat up along the front and side edges of home plate.
3 strikes. Play.
Mike having the catcher drop his mitt a hair. And it's going to be a grounder to the left to Tyler. He just slides in and just casually reaches down and lifts that in the air.
He barely got out of the batter's box, and Tyler was on that one in a hurry. 1 out, 6-run game. And with every out recorded by the Fire defense, they take 1 step closer to that championship. 1 out in the top of the 5th.
Justin Holland.
Holland was a strikeout victim his last time up. You know he'd like to make up for that.
And it's going to be foul on the left as it rolls almost brushing by third base.
Holland came into the league with the Athens Timberwolves. That was the late Roger Keeney's team. Then he went and played with the Atlanta Chaos for a couple years. Over to the Indy Edge, where he won 2 world championships and set a couple of home run records. Of course, he hit 2 home runs in the championship game in Beaumont, Texas 2 years ago against the Jets. You called those.
And that's going to be just underneath the bat.
And now over to the Gateway Archers. Holland, a North Carolina native.
And high pop up as it drops in the center short, and he's
Just
already
landed.
down to first. And he's going to be safe. Both Tyler and Casey trying to do that, but that had so much hang time. He was at the base seconds after it dropped.
And a batter up, David Smith.
Casey moving back into his position out on the field as David Smith comes up to the plate.
So now you got a 5-run spread, still only 1 out. D. Smith at the plate. Archers trying to claw their way back again, but every time it seems like that they are clawing back into the game, the Philly Fire have an answer.
Getting first and third. Mike getting him to lift that mitt. It's going to go just under the bat. Going to go just under the bat again.
And Pat Krause calls a timeout. This is going to be a defensive timeout.
He's headed out into the field.
First defensive timeout of the game called by the Fire. Pat Krause saw something.
He was trying to tell the outfielder he had something.
Just want to make sure that everything's right out there. I don't know if he was trying to reposition somebody or what, but in this point in a big game, you want to make sure everybody's on the same page. And Pat Krause taking command and immediately called a timeout. You're allowed.
With his spotters, and they're moving back into position.
And now he'll get a little longer timeout because we've now got another plane coming over. It had been a little while, though. Maybe they're getting less frequent here.
We cheered for all our other volunteers, but let's cheer for all our pitchers, especially Mike Curtis and Pat Krause and their catchers. Colin Krause. And D1.
And it looks like we are now ready to roll again. Got first and third base check. Mike holding the ball up. Got time again. And we are now ready to go. And just underneath the bat. And it's going to be foul on the left. Ball being tossed back up to Mike as he walks back to the pitcher's mound. And high pop up. I don't know if that's going to make it. It's going to be foul on the left. David turning it around right in front of first. Walk it back.
Every swing, every pitch, every first step by the defenders, every spotter call now is so important.
18-13 at the top of the fifth. David Smith at the plate.
David Smith, I don't believe he's hit a home run this year for the Archers. After hitting 4 last year, 3 of them at the World Series for the Jets. The only Archers home run this year came from Justin Howland. That was in Las Vegas.
He's going to take a pass here as he has the bat next to his leg. And pulling that bat up.
Oh, he struck him out,
And that's gonna be a strikeout.
Oh, he struck out Justin Howland last inning, and he struck out David Smith this inning. Cannot give away outs. You don't have many to spare.
Kyle Bora making this struggle even harder. It's going to be a lot of clawing for the Archers.
The local boy, Kyle Bora now. He was one of the Archer Originals when the team formed in 2020. He was there at the first tournament they ever competed in.
And it's going to be a line drive over to the left.
Justin Rhines.
Oh, Johnny Ma trying to come over and grab that, but he pushed it away from him, crawling, and that's going to give the run to Kyle Bora.
I uttered Rhines, but I meant Margist. He was the one with a chance on that play.
He came up right behind Tyler and in front of Justin at blinding speed, dove for it, hit it with his fingertips, pushing it another 10 feet away from him, and that was all Kyle needed.
This is the closest the Archers have been for a while now. It's a 4-run game, though, still.
With Demo up at the plate.
And Demo 2 for 2 in this game.
Play.
And gonna be low under the bat, almost at home plate. Demo does have a more scooping style swing. It's gonna be over the bat this time. And that's going to be a strike as that dropped down. Mike tapping his chest. That was on me, he said.
Margist and Hogwood need to be ready here.
And it's going to be a short grounder
Nope.
to the left. Tyler
Rodriguez
easily grabbing that. And that's going to be an out for Tyler Rodriguez, bringing the fire in.
Well, they got a few, but maybe not enough in that inning. 18-14 now. They actually got, let's see here, 5.
They had 5. It's gonna
5 in the inning, but it's a 4-run game. Fire coming up in the bottom of the 5th and the top of their lineup coming up.
Fire huddling over there for congratulations and some music before they head out on the field. And thank you to all our sponsors who brought us food this week. We had Emos with pizza for our opening ceremony. We had Raising Cane's had lemonade carts that same night. Then Raising Cane's brought us food on Wednesday. On Tuesday, we had
Jersey Mike's.
Jersey Mike's brought us food out on Tuesday.
Sandwiches. Jersey Mike's has also donated to the organization. They donated $50,000 to us several years ago when we were up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And they've recently given us a $10,000 donation. I just found out about that yesterday from our friend John Parker, who says he is hanging them up finally after 35 years. One of the greatest of all time, John Parker of Topeka, Kansas. I don't know if I believe him. I've heard that from John Parker before. We'll see if he comes back or not, but he's still our fundraising liaison. But his playing career, he says, is finished. One of the top run scorers in World Series history. I said on another broadcast I thought it was Lupe Perez. John Parker debates that. But either way, both of them have scored over 300 runs at the World Series.
Archers are now set in the field as Justin Rhines steps up to home plate. And it steps back off just a hair. Have a call for a time out in the field for the airplanes. That is one of the few drawbacks of having the fields next to the airports, but trying to have everything close and easily accessible.
Well, this is put up or shut up time for the Archers defense here. It's only 3 outs to work with when they come up in the top of the 6th, and they're down by 4 right now. You really can't afford to give the Fire any kind of big inning here. And the Fire have just been relentless in this game, scoring runs. 18-4. I don't think we've seen any other team do that.
We're set in the field.
Justin getting his base check. His orange headband. Bringing that bat up behind his shoulder. Gonna be below and on the outside of the bat. And it's going to be a short little grounder that will be foul as it barely makes it to Pat.
Yeah, you better whack it up.
Justin back up at the plate. And bouncing grounder over on the right to Ricky Castaneda as he runs for third. Ricky scrambling and scooping that up for an out. Ricky Castaneda for that put out.
That was bottom of the bat all day. That was that dreaded double thunk, if you will. The ball hitting the bottom of the bat and the ball hitting the ground. And on that field, under these field conditions and with all-stars playing up short for both of these teams in this game, that kind of hit usually means you're out. One out.
Tyler Rodriguez up to the plate.
Tyler, probably this team's MVP. He has done it all for them, including a handful of putouts in this game.
Pop up short to the left. Don't think that's good. It's going to be foul. As he slows it down, turns around.
You know, Tyler Rodriguez spent all of those years playing off his brother's left shoulder, Eric Rodriguez, who was the best in the game on those Thunder teams. And his little brother was sort of in his shadow a little bit. He's not in his shadow anymore. No mas for that. Tyler has made his own, built his own legacy just fine with the Philly Fire. And he's got him on the verge of a championship.
Home plate being kicked over just a hair more as we are going to get a new ball. But not that one.
And that's not to say that Tyler wasn't a key contributor when he played with his brother Eric under Darnell Booker. He certainly was. He was a starter on every one of those teams. But Eric was winning MVPs. And so Tyler a lot of times didn't get a whole lot of recognition. He's getting it now, and much deserved. He's had one whale of a season and a World Series.
Setting up at home plate. Pointing at first and third.
Got married earlier this year to the Philly Fire spotter, Camry.
Just over the bat.
Tyler's a character, and he has character.
Just over the bat again. Just over the bat, and that's going to be an out for Tyler, bringing John Margis up to the plate.
That's a gift. That's the second strikeout of Tyler Rodriguez this game. You don't hardly ever see that.
We have a batter up, John Margis.
Now here's John Margis, who's been running hot.
Setting his bat up along the outer edge and then all along the back of the plate.
Well, if they can hold him here, it's a 4-run spread. We saw the Archers score 6 in the 6th against the Thunder yesterday. Fire still have the hammer.
Time for a plane.
We want to remind you that the 2025 World Series of Beat Baseball will be right back here at Slyman Brothers Slicer Complex in St. Charles next July. Say that 10 times fast. Slyman Brothers Slicer Complex in St. Charles.
And those practice tosses with that new ball. Refeeling the back tip of home plate. We got time for another plane. Just about time we get set up, and there's another one going through.
I don't see how there could be two of them that close in proximity unless those are like little prop planes or something like that.
At the field. Faces again. Thank you. Thank you.
Base check for
Probably didn't even need a timeout for that second plane, but in a game like this, you'd rather be safe than not be able to hear the ball.
And just underneath the bat. Gripping that bottom hand.
Strike.
It's going to be another strike. Taking a pass.
Oh, good eye, good eye, good eye.
Philly doesn't want to get shut out this inning.
That's going to be foul on the left. Coming back to home plate.
The Fire have led all the way since a 10-run bottom of the first. But really, the Archers have played pretty even with them since that inning. If they win this game, it's going to be because of that 10-run first.
And it's a nice line drive over into left. But that's going to be Justin Holland laying right down in front of that for the putout for the Archers. Justin Holland.
Hang a star on that play from Justin Holland. He's made a few of those this week. That's a big one. 3 up, 3 down inning for the Archers defense. That gives them a chance. They need 4 to tie. They need probably more than that as the visiting team, but they need at least 4 to keep this game going to the top of the 6th. Fire defense, 3 outs away from a championship.
And he was hungry for that. And hey, Philly, are you hungry? S&J's Catering LLC is a premier catering business founded in 2017 by a blind entrepreneur whose vision transcends sight. Specializing in a diverse range of cuisines, S&J's Catering brings a gourmet dining experience to any event, whether it's an intimate gathering or a corporate function. With a commitment to excellence, personalized service, and attention to detail, we ensure that every event is memorable and exceeds our clients' expectations. Hey Philly, are you hungry? Call 215-284-7485.
Well, the Archers are trying to get off the mat and fight back again. They did this yesterday. They trailed 20-15 to the Thunder heading to the 6th. They were the home team in that situation, but either way, they scored 6 to win that game. Down 4 here as the visitors.
And it'll be Ricky Castaneda starting out the bat for the Archers as they try to come from behind.
Needing contact here. You've got speed at the top here. You got Castaneda up, Mark Morris on deck, and then Holland and David Smith. Those are your first 4. And Holland, Smith, and Castaneda have all been struck out at least once this game by Mike Curtis. They need to put it in play and make the Fire defense have to work.
it's going to be foul on the right. It was foul. Casey running over there onto that baseline as Ricky had been headed for the base. A command stop was given after the foul to stop a collision from happening.
Boy, Casey Krause only knows one direction, and that's full speed ahead. Either way, he'll come back. 0-1 the count on Castaneda.
Just underneath the bat.
Castaneda, like David Smith, has come so close so many times to winning that coveted championship, and it's just eluded him.
Taking a pass.
Now he's got a swing.
And he's going to roll backwards.
Full count now.
And just tipping off and rolling backwards.
That time we did hear a tip.
1 ball, 3 strikes. Play.
It's going to be a little grounder short left
Foot
as he runs
race.
the first. Tyler over there, and he's got it. Tyler Rodriguez for the put out.
Just put the World Series on his shoulder. Tyler Rodriguez carrying the Philly Fire to what may be their first championship. The first championship for the state of Pennsylvania. 2 outs away now. Now you got the top of the Archer's order, though.
The field asking Mike for a louder set so they know when he's getting ready. Mark Morris. And it's going to be a line drive right to Tyler, almost right in
what
his
a
hands. He had laid down and just waited for it to come. They're asking if it's it might possibly be another double play. They're waiting to confirm.
If it's a double play, it's over. It's
It
not.
might be a double play.
Yeah. Is it?
I don't think so. I thought he trapped it on the second one. It has to be one bounce. If they call this a double play, the Fire are champions.
He's rounding the base.
All right, trying to see if he had it up in time, folks.
He had it up quickly, but I don't know. It has to be one hop. It can't be a trap. It can't be a little grounder. It's got to be one hop. What's the story?
Conferring out here past first.
The call was a put out. So we're gonna see.
And that's the call. If they have to talk about it this long, then it wasn't a double play. Ordinarily, you'll.
Well, I think they're conferring whether safe or out at this point.
Well, how in the world? He got that up so quick, there's no way it could have been. I mean, Mark Morris would have had to have been in a car to beat Tyler there.
Still conferring past first.
My hunch is that's a put out. If that's the case, it'd be back-to-back in the sixth for Tyler.
Heading all the way over now.
Well, now they'll have time because
third
here comes
base.
another plane.
Tyler waits patiently in the field. Squatted down on rest easy.
It didn't seem like Tyler reacted like he'd made a double play.
All of our official umpires all around the field here, so.
Casey hopping up and down out in short right.
He had one the other day against the Bayou City Heat, and it was spectacular. On the move when he caught the one hopper.
Before Mark Morris got the base,
They're taking a long time to discuss this.
We're all on our edges of our seat.
Still just inside the third base side. Mike's showing his hand back. Jason on his way back up. He's talking with Tyler.
Very dramatic.
Tyler shaking Jason's shoulders in a joking manner.
All right.
It is out.
It is
Not
it isn't out, and it's not a double play. So we still have 1 out in this game.
So they trail by 4. This is an 18-4 game at the top of the 6th with 2 outs.
1 out away. 1 weensy-teensy little out away from the first championship for the city of brotherly love.
Faces, please. Thank you.
Justin Holland at the plate.
That time.
And a time in the outfield. Playing in the distance as it creeps a little closer. Trailing on our rear horizon there. Justin waiting patiently, bat resting at ease on his shoulder.
The Philly Fire are not the first Philly beat ball team, but they are certainly the first to ever be in a position to win a championship. There was a team back in the day called the Pennsylvania Wolfpack. The late, great Greg Gonteric, that was his team. We lost Greg a couple of years ago. Boy, what a defensive player he was.
It's going to be foul on the left.
Last gasp for the Archers. Justin Holland, Gateway trailing by 4. 2 outs, top of the 6th.
Right. Play.
And it's going to be foul again as both benches are all on their feet standing in front of their tents, highly anticipated. And it's a thunker as he goes out into deep left. But Justin Rhines right there and running that in. The whole Philly team runs out. There you have it.
The Philly Fire are your 2024 World Champions, the first championship in team history, the first championship for that part of the country.
Water being poured all over the Philly Fire as they all converge out into the outfield. The entire team from spotters, volunteers, scorekeepers, the entire group all hugging, congratulating, tossing each other up in the air. The love out there in those hugs is clearly evident.
The brotherly love and all of the family that's on this team, all the hard work and the effort and the adversity. Let's face it, we weren't sure Casey Krause was going to be in this World Series until a month ago. He was hurt. Justin Rhines, all of what they've gone through on this team, and yet they were clearly the best team at this World Series. They finish a perfect 8-0, a game effort for the Gateway Archers, but that 10-run bottom of the first for Philly really put them out to start, and the Gateway Archers never could recover. 18-14 the final. Philly Fire, party on. Fireball for the Philly Fire, and you can bet this celebration will go on and on and on.
Philly Fire absolutely being on fire right out of the starting blocks. We have the teams both doing their congratulatory good game, and what a game that was.
And we have to name a Hannigan Team Realty player of the game. Boy, there were so many I think I'm going to go with Scott Hogwood in this one. Not only did he have big runs, he had a couple of massive putouts at that mid-right position. So I'm going to go with Scott Hogwood. I don't know about you, Rosina. You have a say.
I don't really have a pick on this one. I think it was the Philly Fire team really were very evenly all supporting one another, all putting up on the board, all making their defensive moves. So I really don't have a specific player other than just the good speaking and teamwork between them as an entirety.
Total team effort, as you said, for the Philly Fire. Thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate you tuning in all week long to the World Series. Lord willing, we'll be back next year in St. Charles, Missouri for the 2025 World Series. Thank you to our sponsors, our donors, our support staff, Graham Mathena and Live Event Productions, and Rosina. It was a privilege to call these games with you as